Hello everyone, I'm Octopus and welcome back to another video on YouTube about World of Warships. Today I'm gonna talk about a new topic, new and not new topic, which is ranked. The new system that Wargaming is currently testing on the live server of new ranked battles. So for the ones of you that were not here or didn't stick around with the game in the last weeks or months, ranked battles are very different now from how they used to be. Right now, as you can see, this ranks panel is completely different. Ranked battles are not anymore a long and grindy season, let's say, in which you have to reach a certain amount of stars. I mean, it is still like that, but it is way easier now to get to, let's say, your first rank 1. But keep in mind, this is all work in progress. As you can see, this is the test season, so tweaks and adjustments might occur in the next leagues and in the next seasons. So we will see how Wargaming is going to adjust their new system, let's say. But right now, as you can see, we have every season is divided in several sprints. Every sprint lasts for around 1 week, basically, in which you have to actually play through these ranks and get your stars in the usual way to get to your rank 1. Once you reach rank 1 in the Bronze League, which is the first league in which you can play, then you have another stage, which is Qualification Stage. In this stage, the moment you reach 4 stars, which is 4 wins, you get qualified for the next league, for the next sprint season, which is about to happen in 16 hours from now, for example. So as you can see, there are those ranks that are irrevocable. So 7, 6, 5, 3 and 1 are irrevocable. The only ranks that are not irrevocable at the moment are 4 and 2, which is a thing that I don't fully agree with, but whatever. So, and as you can see, once you start, if you don't qualify for the next league, the next season, the next sprint, you're gonna have to start back from rank 7 in the Bronze League. Since I'm qualified, for example, next week I will be able to play from rank 7 of the Silver League. And then if I proceed through all these ranks, as you can see, the number of stars is increasing, the number of stars that are required to get to rank 1. Then you have the qualification for the Gold League, and then same stuff. Here we have more ranks. We start from rank 10, not for rank 7, and all the way up to rank 1. And of course, if you, as far as I understood, once you are, for example, if you start next season for rank 7 in the Silver League, you cannot go back to Bronze League. So eventually, everyone is gonna get into Gold League at some point. So this system is not fully balanced in this sense, in my opinion, because in a couple of seasons at best, everyone is gonna get into Gold League because you know how ranked battles work. So you just need to grind enough battles for your experience and level of gameplay to be able to get into the Gold League. Someone is gonna get into the Gold League in, like, I don't know, 20 battles. Someone is gonna get into Gold League in 100, and somebody else is gonna get into Gold League in 1,000 battles. But nevertheless, everyone is gonna get into Gold League at some point in this system, which is not what the system is aimed for, in my opinion. So I would like to see a kind of relegation system in which from Gold League you can go back to a Silver League. If I didn't understand this correctly, please correct me in the comments down below, because as far as I understood, since rank 10 is irrevocable and rank 7 is irrevocable, you cannot go back to the previous league, and this is something I don't like. As you can see, the rewards are pretty much less than before, but keep in mind that every season is divided into 6 sprints at the moment, as far as I understood. So if you combine all the bonuses that you get from every sprint. As you can see, the rewards are slightly more in the higher leagues. If you combine all these rewards and if you play through all these leagues, the rewards should be kind of similar, but not entirely as good as ranked battles used to be before. So I didn't do the math here, honestly, but I'm pretty sure that the final rewards are slightly less, but this is not a problem in my opinion. So that said, I hope, I mean, there is always the thingy about saving the star if you are the best player on the losing side. Draw makes you lose the star on both sides. Basically, everything else is the same. One thing that's changed is that in the Bronze League, which is the league you're gonna start from if you didn't play previously, this season with this new system, which is, I mean, everyone is gonna play this league in first glance. You have to play tier 8 ships until you reach your rank 1, and then in the qualification you can play tier 9 or tier 10 ships. And then in Silver League, I'm not sure, I think it is gonna be tier 10 from here, but I'm not exactly sure. But we are talking about Bronze League so far, and to reach your rank 1 you have to play tier 8 ships and then tier 9 and 10. So that said, let's take a look at the ships that in my opinion are most viable for this Bronze League season, let's say. So here we are, and as always, it has always been in ranked. The majority of the ships that I found in this new system were battleships, in the vast majority. Few destroyers, also because at tier 8 there are carriers. So let's start off with the carriers. If you have a tier 8 carrier, with whatever it is, just play it and you are gonna be successful at some point. So carriers are overpowered, we all know that in various ways, so I don't need to go through every single carrier in the game. So at tier 8 there are plenty of carriers, even premium ones. I mean, everyone is more overpowered than the other, so you choose what you want and play it. Even silver carriers are gonna be just fine. Maybe the only one that is not that powerful is Indomitable or Implacable. I mean, the two British ones are maybe the least viable, but they are still carriers, so they can still harass and do damage and yada yada. So every carrier is gonna be just fine. So then let's talk about silver ships at first. So for silver ships, destroyer-wise, let's take a look. Destroyer-wise, I think Akizuki is a viable pick, in the sense that, I mean, as long as you are not the only destroyer in your team, and of course, if there are no carriers, Akizuki can be pretty viable and pretty damn good. Especially if you know how to play gunboats, Akizuki is a very, very interesting pick. Kagero, not really. You're purely a torpedo boat that doesn't add anything to the team besides spotting if there are no carriers. So, but since there are plenty of carriers in this season, I mean, you need to pump out a lot of damage in order to be effective and in order to save the star if your team collapses. So Kagero is not exactly the best ship in doing this in a short amount of time. Yes, you can land a perfect torpedo salvo on somebody, but this is not, I don't know, this is not the usual stuff that is happening. Okay, US, Benson, meh pick, so I would say no. If you really have to, okay, but otherwise play something else. USSR, Kiev and Ognevoy. Ognevoy, once again, it's a torpedo boat that doesn't have any kind of decent firepower, so in my opinion, no. Yes, it is kind of versatile in a sense, but as a torpedo boat is okay. So there are better torpedo boats, and as a gunboat is really trash. Yes, you have the heal, yes, you have the defensive AA, but your AA is trash. So definitely Ognevoy not my recommended pick, even if I know that a lot of players do like playing Ognevoy, but I'm not one of them. Kiev, I mean, if there are no carriers, maybe as a long-range gunboat, but if there are carriers in the game, just no. Z-23, I don't think so. Yes, you have Hydro, you have some kind of utility for your team, but in the end, you're trash because your AA is literally inexistent and your concealment is not the best. And I don't know, artillery-wise, you can get outclassed by plenty of destroyers at tier 8, so not really a recommended pick. On the other hand, Lightning, possibly one of the best picks in this season. Overall, all destroyers. You have good torpedoes, you have decent guns, you have a lot of smokes, you have defensive hydro, you have very good concealment, you have everything you need to be effective as long as you know how to play around caps and as long as you can manage your consumables. So Lightning, absolutely one of the best picks for this rank seasons. Left task, meh. I mean, you have garbage concealment, you are good at YOLOs, but nothing more. So in my opinion, not really viable. Easy Yang, I don't think this is gonna be any kind of good because you cannot torp destroyers with your torpedoes. Your artillery, your guns are pretty trash. I mean, decent, but not that great. And yeah, nothing more to add on top of that, so not really recommended. And finally, not this. What is that? Öland. I mean, Öland is a decent pick. At least you have some kind of AA. I mean, not that that is gonna prevent any strike from any plane to strike you, but I mean, if you really want to, maybe if you are grinding the Öland to get to the Östergötland, why not? I mean, it's not a trash pick, even if you're more a torpedo boat than a gunboat. Yes, you are a hybrid, but not that much. But I mean, if you can manage to engage and disengage and make use of your heal consumable, why not? Maybe. So this is for the Tech 3 destroyers. Now let's talk about some premium destroyers that are very powerful in my opinion. One for all is Cossack. Cossack, you can buy from the armory for some gold or for some money from the premium shop. Firepower is amazing. You have 4 X2 guns, 5 seconds of reload, which you can cut it down by 10% taking BFT. You have British smoke, you have defensive hydro, you have speed boost. You have only 4 torpedoes, but your role is to contest caps and take caps because your concealment is amazingly good at 5.5 kilometers. Only Kagero outspots you by 100 meters in this season, in this tier. So absolutely, Cossack is possibly one of the best picks in this season. Yes, you don't have AA. This is an issue, of course, but if you know how to play destroyers that are gunboats and that are good to contest caps and give your team a point advantage, this is your pick, absolutely. Then another good pick is Loyang. Loyang has the downside of being a Pan-Asian ship, so you're gonna need a dedicated captain. If you don't have the Pan-Asian destroyers line researched. But Loyang has a quite unique feature, which is this hydro here, which is 5.5 kilometers hydro, which is amazingly good. Yes, you have the American smoke, which is not that good in this sense. You get to choose between 2 different sets of torpedoes, the short range ones and the long range ones. So you make up your mind on which one is better for you. Concealment is decent, 5.8 kilometers, not amazing, but decent. So you can make use of these torpedoes, these ones that are 6.7 kilometers. You have to manage them carefully, but you can get some value out of them because of the high alpha of these torpedoes for a tier 8 destroyer. Artillery is decent. You have to use your smoke and hydro like you are as German destroyers, you have to make use of your smoke plus hydro combination to be effective. But Overall, Loyang is a very solid pick, so I would recommend Loyang if you have to choose one destroyer to play. Asashio, not really. I don't think Asashio is any good because you can torp only battleships. Yes, it happened to me to find myself in some games where there were like 3-4 battleships and some Asashios were kind of devastating because they were never spotted. But this is basically the perfect scenario for you to shine. Otherwise, you're gonna be really struggling a lot getting any value out of this ship. So in my opinion, not really recommended. Concealment is very good, don't get me wrong, but gun-wise, you're really terrible. Like, you're basically Kagero, and I don't know. I don't like this ship in particular, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Then, there are some other premium destroyers. For example, Kid, that has decent AA, considering it's a destroyer, and considering carrier rework was here. You have the heal. You don't have a lot of torpedoes, but you are pretty decent in this sense. So let me take a look at the captain logbook so I don't miss any tier 8 premium destroyer. Let's see, filter tier 8. There we go. Let's filter for destroyers and let's see. So Asashio, not really. Kid, absolutely. Cossack, absolutely recommended. Z-2035, I don't exactly know much about this ship, but we'll take a look at this later. Le Terrible, no, not really recommended. I mean, just as for Le Fantasque, this is a French destroyer, but I mean, maybe I think I do have it in my port somewhere. Do I? Let's see. Sorry about that, guys. This is a very much an improvised video, as you can see. No, I don't have it. Never mind. But I'm pretty sure that Le Terrible has some kind of... I'm not sure if Le Terrible has the smoke or not. I have this doubt now that Le Terrible might have the smoke consumable available, but I'm not entirely sure. Whatever. But nevertheless, I mean, these destroyers that do not have decent firepower and smoke at the same time, I wouldn't recommend them. Loyang, as we said, absolutely yes. Silivangi, why? Why play this thing when Loyang exists, basically? I'm not sure. And Orkan, I mean, Orkan has radar, so if it is good if you are playing with another destroyer close to you, and so you can go in, radar the enemy destroyer in the cap and take it down with guns. But it is a very team-oriented ship, and I mean, you don't have the smoke to disengage, and you're slow, so you're not that good as Cossack and Loyang in contesting caps, or Kid, for example. Yes, you have the radar, but you're gonna struggle making a very good use out of it, and you have really trash torpedo firepower. So if you really have this ship and you got it from, I don't know, some containers or something else, why not? But otherwise, Of course, I'm talking about tier 8 ships, because this is kind of the long part, in the sense that it is required to you to play more and to get more stars to reach rank 1. But even if I found myself playing more tier 10 battles than tier 8 battles, so I played more qualification battles than the actual grind to rank 1. But so for tier 9 and 10 ships, I will just make a recommended ships for the next league, which is the silver one, which I assume it is going to be fought with tier 9 and 10, if I'm not mistaken, but I will have to double check this later. So for now, I'm going to stick with tier 8 ships. So we talked about CVs, we talked about destroyers. Let's talk about cruisers. Cruiser wise, Mogami, no, absolutely not recommended, because yes, you have decent firepower, but you're squishy and you don't have any kind of good AA. On the other hand, Atago, it's kind of an evergreen of World of Warships. It has always been a excellent flanking and kiting ship, and it still is, as long as you're not getting, you don't get focused by a carrier. I got some very good results in the Otago, and if you know how to play kiting cruisers, absolutely go for it, because it is still a very decent pick in my opinion, and a ship that I really enjoy playing, even if it's, I think, one of the very first premium ships added in the entire game at tier 8, and it has been almost untouched from the very start of the game. Yes, they added the heal consumable, but it is still a very interesting ship to play. Then, sorry, we are gonna go through only the Tech 3 ships and then the premium ones, but Otago, keep in mind, very much recommended. So, then Cleveland and Baltimore, both very good picks. Baltimore, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, silver ship that you can play, the cruiser-wise at least. Because yes, Cleveland has more firepower, but Baltimore has this incredibly powerful AP that are really punishing for basically everyone that gives you broadside at almost any range at this tier. So in my opinion, Baltimore is my very recommended pick, cruiser-wise, premiums excluded, let's say. Cleveland is not trash at all. You need to play a little bit more careful and a little bit more around islands to use the terrain to cover yourself, and you play much more around HE instead of AP. In Baltimore, you have to mix in more AP and then some HE. In Cleveland is basically the opposite, and for this ship you need IFHE to be able to pen your same tier battleships. Of course, Baltimore can pen with 203s. I think you can pen the battleships in deck armor, most of them at least, so keep this in mind as well. USSR, so we have Tallinn and Chapayev. Tallinn, not really recommended. Yes, you have decent AP, but this is all about it, and you have trash reload, and I don't think Tallinn is a very good pick. Chapayev, on the other hand, can be decent if played correctly. Once again, you are very squishy and you have to play very carefully, but if you know how to play cruisers, might be viable. But still, if you want to play a radar ship, I would suggest go for Baltimore. The radar is less powerful in this sense, but the armor of the Baltimore is much better because you have 27mm of bow armor instead of 26 or 25 now, so you cannot get overmatched by 380s, which is a very common caliber at tier 8. So absolutely Baltimore is one of the best picks. Yes, Tallinn is tanky as well from the front, but the firepower of this thing is really underwhelming, especially with HE. Then Keeper, same deal for Tallinn, and you don't even have the radar, so absolutely not recommended. Then we have Admiral and Admiral. Both really meh picks in the sense that Admiral has good survivability in the sense that you have the super heal, you have trash armor, but you can heal a lot. So you are basically an HE spammer, medium to long range, and that's all about it. So if you want to play kiting cruisers, why not? But keep in mind that you might get blapped really hard by every battleship in the game. Same deal with Edinburgh, besides the fact that Edinburgh can carry the radar instead of the smoke. So you might be viable as a radar ship. You can ambush destroyers in this with this thing, but if you're gonna get harassed by the carrier and you don't have the smoke to disengage, you have to manage very wisely your positioning. So you can try it, but keep in mind that might be tricky. Then Charles Martel, probably one of the best kiting cruisers from silver ships, absolutely. It is a very decent kiting and flanking cruiser. Yes, you need to play spam a lot of HE, but don't underestimate the AP of this thing, absolutely. So Charles Martel, absolutely one of the best silver ships in this sense. Then we have Amalfi. Amalfi has SAP and doesn't have HE, so this is a big limitation because you cannot farm very well angled targets. But I wouldn't say that is not recommended at all. It is recommended only if you know how to play it. Yes, you can get some really nasty volleys on destroyers, so if you want to play in a very supportive way for your destroyer, you can try it. But I don't think this is the best pick. It is not the worst one, absolutely, but it is average pick, let's say. And I think we are done with Tech 3 cruisers, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see about, let's go here, and let's talk about the premium ones. Ships. Let's filter for cruisers, tier 8. There we go. So as we said, Atago B, Takao, Atago, they're all the same ship, so absolutely recommended. Kutuzov, if you have this old premium Russian cruiser, you can try it. It is basically the same kind of Smolensk gameplay. You smoke and you farm with HE, and once your smoke fades, you wait for the next one, and you just do this all the time. You are a very long, pretty much a long-range HE spammer, so you need a lot of battleships to make use of your fire damage and yada yada. I think this is a decent ship to save your star, nothing else. So I don't like this kind of approach to the game, but it can pay off. It can pay out in ranked, but I wouldn't say it is the best pick in this season. Wichita, basically a New Orleans, put at tier 8. So why playing Wichita when you have Baltimore in the game? Just, I mean, I don't find any kind of reason to play Wichita instead of the Baltimore. Anchorage, you are a weird ship in the sense that you have smoke and Fletcher torpedoes. You don't have any radar. I don't know. It is a Baltimore that doesn't have radar, but instead it has smoke. I don't know. I don't have this ship, and I don't really like the concept of this ship at all. So if you have this ship from the dockyard event, you can try it, but I mean, you're good only to farm down some battleships or some other targets with HE. You don't have any kind of utility for your team, and you're not that good at flanking and kiting as other proper kiting cruisers. So Anchorage, really questionable pick. Bagration, actually a very, very powerful pick as a roaming cruiser. Bagration has some insane AP firepower, absolutely. It has very, very powerful guns with 180 millimeters of caliber. I do have this ship, and I think this is one of the most underestimated ships at tier 8. You also have an icebreaker in the front, so if you want to get some YOLO off, you have torpedoes as well. So you are a very scary ship. You are a very scary ship, and do not underestimate this thing. You don't have radar, but I mean, you don't need radar when you are flanking and kiting. So Bagration, absolutely recommended if you have it. Otakov, it is a very squishy ship. It is a different version of Chapayev, basically. You have only 10 km radar, if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on that. I did test this ship back in the days, but I don't exactly remember everything about it. But yeah, Otakov is a super light cruiser. I think it is almost Smolensk. It has the Smolensk hull, if I'm not mistaken, so very, very thinly armored. Why playing Otakov when Chapayev is in the game once again? I get that you have very good firepower in this thing to farm with HE, but I don't think this is a very viable pick. Mines, on the other hand, might be one of the best fire starters of the tier 8. It is a super duper powerful ship in starting fires at medium to long range. With the also has decent penetration on the HE because you have quarter penetration of the like in classical German manner, let's say. And yeah, Mines is one of the best ships to farm damage. Once again, you're pretty one-sided in the sense that you farm damage from the long distance, from the long range, and you don't have any kind of decent utility. Yes, you have Hydro, but So you're very squishy. So with the moment you expose yourself, you might go down. So you have to make use of the terrain cover to be effective and yada yada. So questionable pick. But I mean, if you have it and you like to farm damage with HE and save your star, go for it. Otherwise, play something else. Prince Eugen, basically a better hipper in the sense that you have the heal, you have longer reload on your guns, but not recommended at all. Yes, it is good to get some YOL off, just like Tirpitz, because you have the Icebreaker and the Turtleback, and you have plenty of torpedoes, but otherwise it is really questionable. Cheshire, I'm not even gonna talk about this thing. It is a trash pick, so don't play it. Belfast 43, it is slightly better, but it is nothing like Belfast, the real Belfast at tier 7. So if you got this thing from some missions or from some containers, or even if you bought this thing, try it out, but you're gonna find yourself struggling a little bit making use of all your consumables. And I don't know, try it and then let me know. I don't have it, but I remember I did test this thing back in the days, and I didn't find it any kind of good. I mean, it is not trash, but it is not very powerful at all. Bayard, very good at farming damage from long distance. You have the speed boost, French speed boost. You are very squishy, and that's all about it. So it is only about HE spamming and farming damage. So if you like this kind of playstyle, go for it. If you don't, just don't then. Arian, different version of Kutuzov. Basically, you have the smoke, you have deep water torpedoes, and you have the torpedo reload booster consumable as well, which is really questionable. It is a weird combination, but yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? Once again, if you want to farm damage from long range with HE, go for it. I'm not exactly sure if Irian does get this smoke. I have this doubt now, but I do think that Irian gets this smoke. Maybe I'm missing some ships from the premium ones, because maybe there are some ships that are not listed in the Captain logbook. If I did, sorry about that. You're pretty much free to correct me if I miss something. So finally, let's talk about battleships. Keep in mind that I'm not saying, I mean, every class is viable in this spring season, because the level of gameplay is pretty pepega, honestly speaking, since it is the very first one and everyone is playing this mode in the same league. So what I'm saying here is valid for the very starting season and also the next ones, where all the, let's say, less skilled players, less experienced players are gonna play in this league. But yeah, every class is gonna be viable. Maybe battleships are gonna be the best class, in the sense that it is the safest class to go for, but I'm not entirely sure. I played cruisers mostly this at tier 8, and I found myself pretty successful. So, but it wasn't that easy to get my damage in. So I don't know. So battleships, let's see. Japan. So Amagi at tier 8. Solid pick, nothing special. I mean, you have the turtleback that works at close range, but you don't have a super good armor. Yes, you don't eat citadels at super close range, but from long range you can get citadel pretty easily, especially from plunging fire. It is a ship that is not good at YOLOs, because you have 3 turrets placed in the back and only 2 in the front. So, and plus the dispersion, sometimes it is really trolly, and even when you hit, a lot of times you get overpens instead of actually pens, even on very highly armored targets. So I mean, it is not a bad pick, but it is not the best one. So average pick in this sense. NC, absolutely one of the best ships at tier 8. It is a very punishing ship, in the sense that once you give broadside in this thing, you get citadel. If you angle, you get rewarded by good tankiness. The shells are very slow, but the dispersion is amazing. So if you can master NC shells, If you can play around the slow shells, it is gonna be a very effective ship, even if it is a little bit power crept. And also the fact that you have very good amount of AA makes you a not as easy of a target to strike for tier 8 carriers. I mean, don't get me wrong, they will still gonna strike you, but they're gonna lose some planes in the process at least. Kansas, this is basically literally an oversized Colorado, which is complete trash. So don't even try to play this thing. It is absolutely a pile of garbage. So you are slow, you reload this trash, your I don't know, this dispersion is very questionable as well. You eat a lot of damage and you don't have any super good AA. I mean, the AA is decent, but why playing Kansas when NC is in the game? This is the whole point. Vladivostok, tier 8 ship, it is very tanky from the front, you're squishy from the side. So once again, if you're not facing carriers, especially carriers that have AP bombers, why not? Absolutely one of the best tier 8 battleships overall. AA is not that good, but you can play around it somehow. And yeah, if you want to play it, play it. Bismarck at tier 8, always a solid pick, not the best one, but it is not the worst one either. Yes, you have secondaries as well. You don't have any kind of decent AA, but you have Hydro to protect yourself from torpedoes to a certain extent. Your dispersion is trash, but you are a medium to close range brawler battleship, so you don't want to snipe from the back. So this is a ship that, in order to shine, you have to play it somewhat aggressively. So, and this usually in ranked battles doesn't pay off that often. So keep this in mind. You have to choose very wisely your timing to get your YOLOs and to choose wisely your targets. Otherwise, you're gonna be just farmed down. Yes, you have decent armor, but you're not immune to torpedoes and to AP shells at all. Then we have Monarch. I don't like this thing. It is one of the worst tier, British battleships in the entire line, in my personal opinion. There are some people that do like this ship. I don't personally, so I wouldn't recommend this thing at all to anybody. So not at all, not recommended. Richelieu, why not? I mean, you can even try to build it for secondaries, even if your secondaries are mostly placed in the back of your ship, so, and your turrets are only in the front. But Richelieu can be very punishing with the shells. Your penetration is very good, and even if the caliber is not, so if you're facing Baltimores, for example, you're gonna struggle dealing damage to them. You have to switch to HE in order to deal some damage to them if they are angled towards you. But otherwise, Richelieu has decent armor in the front, so just don't give broadside in this thing and try to preserve your turrets, because they can get knocked out pretty easily. But Richelieu is an average pick, I would say. And we are done with as for battleships. So let's go to the logbook. No, misclick, sorry about that. Come on. Let's go here and let's see about the premium ones, which are a lot. Let's filter for battleships and tier 8. So Alabama, no, it is just a worse NC. You have better torpedo protection and slightly better maneuverability, but your Sigma is 1.8 instead of 2.0, so not really recommended while NC is in the game. Ignis, Purgatio and Ragnarok are basically Amagis. So, or even keys. I'm not sure if these things have torpedoes or not. But I mean, it is basically the same thing as playing Amagi. So yes, why not? But there is something better. Key, it is an Amagi with torpedoes basically. So yes, why not? But once again, you still have an Amagi hull, so you're not invulnerable to citadels, and you're better at kiting instead of pushing in. So keep this in mind. Massachusetts and Massachusetts Black, possibly the best tier 8 battleship in the entire game so far. You have amazingly good secondaries. You have decent caliber 406s. You have not that good of a dispersion, but you can punish targets pretty easily. You are a close quarters specialist in this sense, so you have to manage your HP wisely. You have super fast reloading heals as well, so you have good sustainability in the short period, in the short term. So I do love this ship, and I do find it pretty much overpowered for tier 8. And of course, if you want to play it, why not? There is no reason not to play Massachusetts in tier 8 ranked. Lenin, basically an improved version of Nelson in this sense. The hull is almost the same, but you're much more tanky than Nelson, because you have 32 millimeters of bow armor instead of 26, so you cannot get overmatched by 460s and 380s. Dispersion of Lenin is very good. You have a very big citadel, so as long as you are angled, you are tanky. The moment you give a slight bit of broadside, you get punished hard in Lenin, so don't give broadside in this thing, absolutely not, even to cruisers, because you can get punished with AP very hard. But yeah, Lenin is a very good positional ship, but once again, you have to manage your positioning very wisely, because if you get flanked and surrounded, you're gonna go down very easily. So Lenin is good as long as you have some kind of team support, and we all know that this is a very rare thing to find in ranked battles, so play it carefully in this sense. Tirpitz, basically the perfect example of YOLO style of battleships, so absolutely why not, but you need to close the distance to be effective. So if the battles are gonna be played from medium to long ranges, this thing is gonna suck, because you don't have the penetration and the caliber to actually overmatch anything almost. I mean, not anything, but there are plenty of cruises that do bounce your shells on the deck armor at least. So Tirpitz is a close quarter expert, as just like Massachusetts. You do have torpedoes, which Massachusetts does not have, and yeah, Tirpitz is a viable pick as long as you can make it work. If you want to play from the safe distance, no, not at all. Vanguard, no, just no. It is a really bad pick in this sense. It is a different version of Monarch, if I'm not mistaken. So why would you like to play a premium Monarch as well? Champagne, you are super squishy and you are a super long range sniper, so absolutely not recommended. Yes, you have good caliber of guns for tier 8, but you're relegated to play from super long range. This is the same kind of gameplay that Lava has, so not really recommended. Gascon, not really. You're squishy, you have small caliber of guns. Yes, you are fast, but I mean, you're good at flanking and getting people on the broadside, but otherwise you're very, I mean, I think this is one of the most underpowered ships at tier 8 I've ever seen, honestly. So you have the ship and you want to farm some credits because it is a premium one, okay, but it is below average pick in my opinion. Roma, Roma and Littorio, which are basically the same, are Italian battleships. They have the super heavy AP, so you do get a lot of overpens in this thing on broadsiding targets, but once you find another battleship that is giving you broadside or that is even angled towards you, your AP can get some nasty pens. So your dispersion is really trash and it is really trolly, and you do have a citadel, so you don't have any kind of German turtleback in this sense, but you have a good concealment, very good concealment. You have poor AA. I don't know, I don't think this is gonna be a super good ship at all, but it is not be one of the worst one either, so try it out, but you need to play carefully. Oh, I forgot about the Odin. This is one of the most meme worthy ship at tier 8 at all. So you are good at YOLOs, you are decent at YOLOs because you have a very small caliber of guns. You have 305s. You have torpedoes and you have hydro combined, so you are basically a kind of weird combination between Tirpitz and Odin, but you don't have the same gun caliber. And you have limited HP pool and your armor is not that great, so Odin not recommended at all. Possibly one of the worst picks in tier 8 battleships, besides, I don't know, Vanguard and Gascon. So that said, I think we covered almost every ship in a tier 8 so far. So guys, this was my recommended pick. These were my recommended picks, but I don't know. This is my feeling about this season. You might get some different feelings. Somebody else might recommend you some different ships, and this is entirely okay. As always, this is my personal opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. And as always, you have to try it out playing this season yourself to make up your own mind. This is my idea, and if you find this video useful or interesting, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you didn't already. Leave me in the comments down below your impressions of this new rank system and how you feel about it, and what you like about it and what you don't like about it, so you can have a little bit of a discussion about it. And once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.